Elias Gray had survived gunfire, riots, and the long, silent corridors of warships drifting through space. But nothing prepared him for standing outside the royal chamber of Princess Lyra of. While holding a blanket, his heart thudded so hard he felt it in his teeth. The order had come down 10 minutes ago, clear, official, and insane. Human guard Elias Gray will share the princess's sleeping space for the next rotation, for diplomatic safety reasons. Share the sleeping space. Share the bed. It made no sense. They were notoriously private. They didn't even shake hands without a ceremony. Elias knew because 3 nights ago, one of them nearly fainted when he accidentally bumped their shoulder. But the order had been sealed with the crest of the High Matriarch. That meant it wasn't a mistake. It was law. He swallowed hard, pushed the door open, and stepped into the softly glowing chamber. Princess Lyra was already awake. Already staring at him. Already frowning. Her silver eyes, too bright, too sharp, tracked the blanket he clutched against his chest. "You brought that?" she asked. Her voice sounded hesitant, like she wasn't sure whether to laugh, scream, or throw him back out the door. Elias cleared his throat. "A mistake, it came out more like a choke." "I wasn't sure if you had extra covers," he said. A beat of silence. Then another. Then Lyra blinked slowly, the way someone blinks while trying not to cry or explode. "Humans," she whispered, "always thinking you must carry everything yourselves." Elias froze. He wasn't sure if that was an insult. Or something else. There was a tremor in her voice. A tired one. A scared one. That was when he noticed the edges of the room, the flickering protective field, the faint crackle of energy shielding. It was unstable, strained, like something had rattled it. "Is your room compromised?" he asked. Lyra looked away. "Something tried to enter earlier," she said, "through the walls." His stomach tightened. "What was it?" "I don't know." A whisper again. But this time it shook. That wasn't normal. Royalty didn't show fear, ever. Elias stepped closer. "Princess, why didn't you call for help?" Lyra's hands tightened around the fabric of her nightrobe. "Because I wasn't supposed to be afraid," she said. "Not in front of anyone, especially not a human." So she was shaken. And hiding it. Maybe that was why the order had been issued. Maybe someone in her court knew she was vulnerable. He softened his voice. "Lyra, you don't have to pretend with me." Her gaze snapped back to him, sharp, bright, almost offended. But then her eyes softened. "Just a little." "Elias Gray," she murmured. "Do you know what sharing a bed means in custom?" He blinked. Closeness, trust, something like that." "No." Her voice dropped lower. "Not trust." Then she stepped toward him, light catching the silver markings on her temple. "In culture," she said, "sharing a bed means revealing your truths." "My truths." "Your deepest ones." Her breath trembled. "Your secrets, your wounds, your shame. You cannot sleep beside someone without your emotions being sensed. My kind feel emotions as heat, as shadows, as memories." Elias stared. That was new. "Princess." "If you lie," she continued softly, "I will feel it burned. If you hide something, I will feel the cold. And if you mean harm, I will wake choking." Now his heart wasn't just thudding. It felt like it was trying to escape. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I do not want this either," she said, "but the order is higher than both of us." He swallowed. "So what do we do?" Lyra hovered beside the edge of the bed, massive, floating, framed with shimmering crystal. She hesitated, looking strangely small for royalty. "We begin," she whispered. Elias placed the blanket down. His hands were shaking now, and he hated that she could probably sense it. When he sat on the opposite side of the bed, he felt it immediately. a warm pulse traveling across the mattress, reaching toward him like a breathing thing. Lyra stiffened. "You're nervous," she said softly. "You're terrified," he replied. They stared at each other. "Neither it." Then, unexpectedly, she whispered, "Elias, what are you afraid of losing?" The question pierced him. Too fast. Too deep. He opened his mouth, then closed it, because he wasn't sure he was ready to reveal the truth. Not the real one. Not the secret that kept him awake night after night. Before he could answer, the lights flickered. The wall crackled. A shape moved in the shadows. Lyra's breath caught. Elias was already reaching for his weapon. Something was here, watching them, ready to strike, and they were trapped on the same bed. Elias didn't think. Training surged through him like a shock. He rolled off the bed, scanning the wall where the shimmering distortion twisted like smoke trapped behind glass. "Don't move," he whispered. Lyra didn't, but he could feel her fear. It pushed across the room like warm air, brushing his back, urging him to stay close. The distortion pulsed again. A deep, low hum, like something breathing inside the metal. Elias raised his pulse blade. "Identify yourself," he barked. No answer. Lyra slid off the bed, her bare feet silent against the polished floor. "Elias, that energy signature, it feels wrong." "What kind of wrong?" "Like hunger." His grip tightened. Another pulse rippled through the wall. Then, silence. Too much silence. He took a slow step forward. The distortion faded as if whatever was there had withdrawn. "That's the second time tonight," Lyra whispered. He turned to her sharply. "You didn't tell me that." "I didn't want to sound weak." "You're royalty," Elias shot back, "not a machine." Her expression cracked just for a second. A small, painful second. It made something twist inside him. "Princess," he said more gently, "you should told someone." Her shoulders sagged. "I did." She hesitated. "But they insisted this room was the safest place for me." He stared at her. "They insisted," he repeated, "not suggested." She nodded slowly. A cold suspicion stirred in Elias' gut. Someone wanted her kept here. Someone wanted her vulnerable. But why? He stepped closer to her. "Lyra, who gave the order for us to share the bed." She hesitated again. "Too long." "Lyra." His voice softened. "Please." Finally, she whispered, "My mother, the High Matriarch." That didn't make sense. The leadership saw humans as unpredictable, dangerous creatures. They avoided physical closeness with humans at all costs. So why break tradition for him? Why now? Before Elias could ask more, Lyra raised a hand. "Wait, do you feel that?" He paused. Then he felt it. A wave of emotion that wasn't his. Fear. Loneliness. Something buried deep. "You're projecting," she whispered. "I'm not." But he was. Humans didn't project emotions naturally, but Lyra could feel the tension rolling off him. "Elias," she murmured, "this closeness, it's stronger than normal, stronger than it should be." "What does that mean?" She took another step toward him. "It means something in you is calling out." He swallowed. "Calling out for what?" "For comfort," she said softly. "For connection, humans feel loneliness like starvation. We've studied it." He laughed once under his breath. A broken sound. He hated she could read him so easily. "Don't analyze me," he muttered. "Then don't hide," she said. His jaw tightened. He didn't want to talk about the things clawing at him. The night he almost died. The promise he failed to keep. The person he couldn't save. but her eyes, silver, glowing faintly in the dim, looked at him not with judgment but something gentler. Something he wasn't used to. "Elias," she whispered, "what happened to you?" He opened his mouth, then froze. Another tremor, a ripple in the shield. This time it wasn't subtle. The lights dimmed. The walls vibrated like something enormous was moving just beyond the room. Elias grabbed Lyra's wrist. "Behind me now." She didn't argue. The distortion returned. Larger, deeper, spreading across half the wall like a shadow trying to peel itself free. A cold, almost metallic whisper seeped into the air. Not a voice, more like a thought that wasn't theirs. "Hungry, hungry, hungry." Lyra's breath hitched. "You hear it too," she whispered. Elias nodded once. And then, the wall split open. Not physically, not with cracks or debris, but with a tear in light itself, like reality bending inward. A dark limb, long, thin, shimmering like it was made of liquid metal, slid through the opening. Lyra grabbed Elias' arm. "What is it?" "I don't know," he said, raising his blade, "but it wants you." The limb flicked toward them. Vast. Elias shoved Lyra behind the bed and slashed upward. His blade sliced the limb clean through. No blood. Just a burst of dark smoke. The creature recoiled with a silent shriek and vanished back through the tear. The wall sealed shut. Silence again. Heavy. Unnatural. Lyra crawled out from behind the bed, trembling. "It keeps coming for me," she whispered. "Elias, why?" He didn't answer. Because now he had a different question. A darker one. How did the creature know she wouldn't be alone tonight? He raised his eyes to hers. "Lyra, someone set this up." She stared back at him, breath shaking. "You mean someone wants me to die, break, disappear?" He didn't let her finish. "Pack what you can carry," he said. "We're not staying here." "Where will we go?" "Somewhere they don't expect." He looked toward the door. "And somewhere we can talk without being overheard." Her voice softened. "Talk about what?" He turned toward her fully. "About the secrets we're supposed to reveal tonight." Her expression tightened. "Elias, you won't like mine." He met her gaze. "Then we start with yours." Lyra took a shaky breath and whispered, "The creature isn't here to kill me. It's here because of what I did." For a long moment, Elias didn't speak. He just stared at Lyra, trying to piece together the implications of her confession. "You did something," he said slowly, "and now that thing is hunting you because of it." Lyra lowered her gaze, her silver lashes trembling. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "I wasn't supposed to touch it." "Touch what?" She hesitated. Elias stepped closer. "Lyra, tell me." Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. "The rift core," she said softly. "Our people use it to stabilize dimensional travel. It's ancient, older than memory. They say it hums with the heartbeat of another world." Elias frowned. "I thought only the High Matriarch could access the core." "She can." Lyra's voice shook. "But the council allowed me to observe it for the first time last cycle. A ceremonial visit. I wasn't allowed to approach it. Only bow, only watch." "So how did you touch it?" Lyra's eyes flickered with guilt. "I heard it calling." Elias went still. "Calling." Not with sound, with emotion. It felt like sadness, like pleading. She pressed a hand to her chest. "I don't know why, everyone else stood still, but I felt something pulling me forward, so I reached out. My fingers brushed the surface." She closed her eyes. And something brushed back. Elias felt a chill crawl up his spine. "What do you mean, brushed back?" It touched my mind, she whispered. Not my body, my mind. And since then, every few hours that creature appears, always near me, always pushing through the walls like it's searching. Elias cursed under his breath. Lyra, you opened a connection. She nodded weakly. They call it a bond echo. She hugged her arms around herself. Something in that other dimension felt me, and now it can follow me. Elias inhaled sharply. And your mother knows. Lyra flinched. Yes. He ran a hand through his hair, packing. Pieces were clicking together too easily. Too neatly. She put you in this room, he muttered. She ordered me in here with you, and someone knows the creature is coming through the walls. Lyra's voice was barely above a whisper. She thinks the creature will reveal something. About you. No. She looked up. About the human. Elias froze. What? Elias, she wanted you close so she could see what the creature reacts to. She thinks you're connected too. His pulse thundered. That's insane. Is it? Her stare was piercing now. When the creature entered, Elias, it didn't reach for me first. He stopped breathing. It reached for you. He hadn't noticed. Too much adrenaline. Too much smoke and shadows. But now he remembered. The limb had slashed toward his side of the bed. He had assumed it was aiming for her. Why would it want me? He whispered. Lyra stepped closer, her fear shifting into something steadier. That's what we need to figure out. He stared at her and realized her trembling had stopped. She was still scared, but now she was something else too. Determined, confiding, trusting him in a way that felt wrong and right at the same time. Elias, she said gently, sit. He didn't want to sit. He wanted to run, to fight, to confront the High Matriarch. But her tone, it pulled him down beside her on the edge of the floating crystal bed. Earlier, she said, when I asked what you feared losing, you didn't answer. He stiffened. Lyra, we don't have time. We do, she insisted softly. If that creature is bound to us, then your emotions matter too. Whatever's inside you, it's reacting. He stared at his hands. Rough. Hands that once held someone he couldn't save. I don't want to talk about it. I know, she whispered, but if you hide from it, the creature will not. His breath stuttered. Lyra, don't push me. Her voice gentled even more. I'm not pushing, I'm sharing the bed with you. I meant to feel your truth. He hated how her words made something warm unfold in him. Something he didn't want to feel. She laid a hand near his. Not touching, but close enough that warmth drifted between their skin. Elias, she said softly, tell me who you lost. His chest tightened. He closed his eyes. He saw fire, heard screaming, smelled burning metal. I had a brother, he said finally, voice barely holding shape. Lyra's breath caught. He died on the 9 station. We were evacuating civilians. I told him to run ahead while I held off the attackers, but he went back. Elias swallowed, jaw clenching hard. He went back for a child who'd fallen behind, and the corridor collapsed before I could reach them. Lyra's hand moved, slow and gentle, until her fingers touched the back of his. He flinched, but didn't pull away. I couldn't save him, Elias whispered. I can't save anyone I care about. Lyra's voice shook. Then why are you trying so hard to save me? He looked up. Her silver eyes were wet. Not with fear now. With something softer. Something dangerous. I don't want to lose another person, he said. They sat there, breaths mingling, emotions bleeding into each other. Then, a surge of heat hit the room like a wave. Lyra jerked. That's it, she whispered, trembling. The creature, it's reacting to our emotions. Elia's something is coming again. He stood instantly. The lights flickered. The wall rippled. Lyra grabbed his arm. Elias, there's something else I didn't tell you. He turned sharply. What? Her voice dropped to a whisper. When I touched the rift core, it gave me a memory. Not mine. Yours. Elias stared at her speechless. What memory? He asked. Lyra swallowed. The moment your brother died. The room shook. The wall tore open. And the creature lunged. The creature struck before Elias could blink. A black wave of shadow surged from the wall, swirling like liquid night, curling around the bed. Its shape flickered, never quite solid, yet its intent was crystal clear. It wanted Lyra. No, it wanted both of them. Elias lashed out with his pulse blade, slicing through the darkness. The weapon met resistance, like cutting into smoke mixed with ice. Sparks scattered, hissing in the air, and the creature recoiled with a shriek that was more felt in the bones than heard with ears. Stay behind me, Elias shouted, shoving Lyra toward the far side of the room. She didn't argue, she didn't hesitate. She moved like a shadow herself, light-footed, her silver eyes glowing brighter, scanning the pulse in the air. Its reaction, it's linked to us, she panted. Our emotions, it senses them. Elias' jaw tightened. He realized the truth at once. It wasn't attacking blindly. It was tracking fear, pain, guilt, and maybe hope. He forced himself to stay calm, even as sweat slicked his palms. Then we control it. We control what it senses. Don't let it feed on fear. Her gaze met his, sharp and unwavering. You think I can control that? Yes, he said without hesitation. I believe in you. Something inside her flickered, a warmth, a pulse of trust. She stepped closer to him. The creature lashed again, and this time Elias felt it wrap around him like an icy hand. He staggered backward. Elias, Lyra cried. Her hands hovered near him almost instinctively, and he felt a pressure, like a protective shield radiating from her. Lyra, it's inside my head, he gasped. Memories, fragments of pain, screams, fire flooded him. He saw his brother running, the corridor collapsing, that final moment replaying in endless slow motion. The creature was amplifying his guilt, using it to strike at him. Focus on something else, anything else, Lyra shouted. He blinked and her words became an anchor. Her presence, a steady heat, a living pulse, cut through the chaos. For the first time since he'd entered this room, he felt the shadow hesitate. Your emotion, your bond, she whispered, her voice shaking but clear. It's not just fear, there's strength here too, that's what it's afraid of. Elias clenched his fists. He focused on her courage, on the warmth she radiated, silver light brushing against his chest as if his heart beat in response to hers. The creature recoiled again, twisting, screaming, but not in sound, more in pure malice. Now, Lyra shouted. She stepped closer and placed her hand over his pulse blade. Together. Elias exhaled and let the trust flow through him. The fear that had almost consumed him evaporated into the heat of her presence, their combined will radiating outward. The shadow shrieked one final time, a soundless scream, and the walls of the chamber pulsed violently. Then, with a twisting wisp, it vanished, sliding back through the dimensional tier, leaving behind silence and the faint scent of ozone. Both of them collapsed on the bed, gasping. Elias looked at Lyra. Her chest rose and fell, silver eyes glinting in the dim glow of the room. She looked exhausted but alive and unbroken. You can feel it, he whispered. She nodded slowly. I could, and I could feel you, the truth you've been hiding, the pain. He swallowed hard, pain, shame, guilt, all of it boiled to the surface. He looked away. I didn't want to burden anyone with it. You didn't choose, she said softly, leaning closer, and you're not alone anymore. Something shifted between them then. Not words, not confessions, just recognition. A fragile, dangerous trust built under fire, under shadow, under fear. Elias' pulse slowed, but his mind raced. That creature hadn't been random. It had known they would be together. It had known they would be forced to share not just the bed, but their truths. "Lyra," he murmured, voice raw, "we're part of something bigger than we thought." She nodded, silver eyes meeting his, "And we don't know who set it in motion or why." A distant chime echoed through the chamber, the security system reactivating, signaling the High Matriarch had checked the perimeter again. Elias tensed. He knew their reprieve was temporary. "The creature will come back," he said grimly. She bit her lip, "And when it does, we'll be ready." He felt her hand brush his again. Not holding, not fully, just a whisper of touch, but it was enough to anchor him. Elias realized something terrifying and exhilarating. He didn't just want to protect her. He wanted to stay close, even if it killed him. The air shifted, a faint hum lingering in the walls, the echo of the rift core or the creature's pulse or both. And then a thought struck Elias that froze him in place. The creature hadn't only responded to their fear, it had responded to their bond. And if it could sense that, so could anyone else who knew about it. He looked at Lyra. Her eyes met his, wide and understanding. What happens if they know?" he whispered. She swallowed, her lips trembling. "Then nothing will ever be the same." The room fell silent again, but the weight of their secret pressed down harder than the shadow had ever done. For the first time, Elias realized it wasn't just their lives at stake. It was their truth, their trust, and maybe their hearts. The wall flickered again, tiny, almost imperceptible. And somewhere in the darkness, a low, familiar pulse waited. Elias sat on the edge of the bed, pulse blade still in hand, sweat cooling on his brow. Lyra sat across from him, knees drawn up, silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Neither spoke, not because there was nothing to say, but because every word felt like a weapon and every silence a shield. Finally, Lyra broke the stillness. "You feel it too," she said softly. He glanced at her. "Feel what?" "The connection between us. It's not just the creature." Elias swallowed hard. He had tried to ignore it before, tried to bury it under duty, training, and cold focus, but he couldn't anymore. "It's stronger than I thought," he admitted, voice low. "When that thing attacked, when it tried to get to you, I felt it. Every strike, every pulse, I felt it in me." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "I felt it too, and more than that, I felt you, your fear, your guilt, and your courage." He flinched at the word courage. No one had ever called him that, not even his captain, not even after surviving missions that should have killed him. "Courage?" he asked, bitter but curious. "Yes," she leaned closer, shoulders trembling but unwavering. "The part of you that stayed standing when everyone else fell, the part that protected even when it hurt." Elias' chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, to brush it off. But the truth pressed against him like the walls of this chamber. He couldn't, not with her. "I don't deserve you," he muttered. She tilted her head, silver hair brushing his shoulder. "Maybe not, but the creature doesn't care about deserts. It responds to truth, and right now our truth is shared." Their eyes locked. The pulse in the room shifted, heavier now not the creature, but something in them. Something fragile, dangerous, and entirely human. Elias' hand hovered near hers. Not touching, not yet, but the space between them hummed like it was charged. He started, but a sudden vibration from the walls cut him off. The protective field shuddered. The hum returned. "The rift core," Lyra whispered, her eyes widened. "It's resonating, the creature, it's not finished." Elias jumped to his feet, blade ready. "Then we finish this, together." She nodded, her hand brushed his arm, an almost accidental touch, yet it sent a jolt through him. He gritted his teeth, forcing himself to focus. The wall rippled, then tore open. Not a limb this time, not a strike. It was like the shadow itself had taken shape, towering liquid darkness with glimmering streaks like stars trapped in oil. Its face, or what passed for one, tilted toward them, studying, measuring. And then it spoke. Not with sound, not with words, but directly in their minds. Bonded, vulnerable, truth shared. Elia staggered. Lyra gripped his hand, silver light flowing into his fingers. "I can protect us," she whispered. He looked at her, startled. She wasn't just scared, she was deciding, choosing him, choosing the bond. The shadow surged forward. Elia's lunged, slashing. Lyra's aura flared. The creature hissed, recoiling from her presence as much as his blade. "They feed on fear," Elias shouted, not trust." Lyra's silver eyes met his. "Then show them." Together, they stood shoulder to shoulder. He felt her courage like a shield wrapping around his chest. She felt his determination, his unwillingness to break, even in the face of the unknown. The creature shrieked in the silence of their minds and recoiled, then dissipated into the wall's shimmer, leaving only a faint ripple and a soft echo that seemed almost mournful. Breathing heavily, Elias lowered his blade. His hands trembled, but he didn't let go of Lyra. "You're incredible," he said, voice low. She smiled faintly. "So are you, and you don't even know it yet." A silence fell over the room, heavy but warmer this time. Elias finally sat back down on the bed. She followed, sitting close enough that their knees brushed. You can feel everything, don't you?" he asked quietly. "I can feel the truth," she said. "Not just yours, but ours, the bond we didn't even know we were forming." He looked at her, understanding something he hadn't allowed himself to admit before. He wanted this bond. Not just to survive, not just to fight, but to stay close, to trust, to care. And Lyra, she wanted it too. A soft rumble shivered through the room. The wall shimmered faintly, a warning or maybe a reminder. Elias clenched his jaw. "Then we'll need to train, control this bond, learn what it can do, and prepare for the next attack." Lyra nodded, silver eyes gleaming. "Together." He exhaled slowly, letting the tension slip just slightly. Their hands remained intertwined. Not fully, not deliberately, but the warmth and pressure spoke louder than words. And in that moment, they understood something terrifying and exhilarating. They were no longer just human and princess. They were a bonded force, something dangerous in the eyes of the universe. And whatever came next, they would face it side by side. Then the lights flickered. A cold wind swirled, and the faint shimmer of the rift core echoed through the chamber. A whisper curled around their minds, soft, almost intimate. "You cannot hide from me, not the bond, not the truth." Elias' grip on Lyra tightened. She leaned closer. Whatever was coming, they would meet it together. The hum of the rift core lingered in the room like a heartbeat, pulsing against the walls, under the bed, through the very air around them. Elias and Lyra sat side by side, their hands still brushing, the warmth lingering despite the chill that had returned. Neither had spoken since the shadow's last warning. Finally, Lyra broke the silence. Her voice was quiet but steady. "Elias, if the creature knows our bond, then anyone watching could know it too." He turned to her. "Anyone?" "The High Matriarch," she whispered. "The Council, maybe even others outside, they'd see it, sense it like we do." He swallowed. The weight of that statement pressed down harder than the lingering fear of the creature itself. "You mean they could use it against us?" "Or use us," Lyra said softly, silver eyes glinting. "Control, manipulate, even force the bond to reveal truths neither of us are ready to share." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we make sure they don't get the chance." Her lips twitched into a faint, tired smile. "Easier said than done." He leaned closer. "Then we learn, train, protect each other, whatever it takes." She hesitated, then nodded. "Together." A pause settled over them. And then, impulsively, Elias brushed a stray strand of silver hair from her face. Lyra's eyes widened, and for a heartbeat, the world seemed to shrink to just that movement. He could feel her pulse in the air between them, delicate, rapid, almost human, yet alien luminous. Elias began, but the word caught in his throat. "You can say it," she whispered. "I'm not used to this," he admitted, "to feeling something beyond duty, beyond survival." She tilted her head, a small smile brushing her lips. Then don't, just feel it with me, for now. He exhaled slowly, letting the tension in his chest soften. For a moment, the fear, the shadows, the creatures, the threats, they were all distant. There was only her. Only the warmth of the bond they were forging, fragile but undeniable. Then the lights flickered. Not just flickered. A deep vibration rolled through the floor, through the bed, through their bones. Lyra stiffened. It's back. Elias grabbed her hand instinctively, firm this time, grounding them both. Then we face it, together. The shadow returned, but it was different now. No longer a single attacking limb, no longer a wavering form. This time it emerged fully from the wall, a swirling mass of darkness, eyes glowing like fractured stars. It circled them, testing, observing, feeding on the bond they had tried to hide. Elias felt it in his mind, a cold, probing sensation like ice running along his spine. The creature wasn't attacking yet, it was learning, watching, waiting. "Control your fear," Lyra whispered. "Show it we are stronger than the shadows." He met her eyes. She was trembling, yes, but also radiating confidence. A silver fire that pierced the darkness. He focused on her warmth, on her courage, on the quiet determination she radiated. He let it flow into himself. His fear melted into something sharper, resolute, protective, unyielding. The creature hissed and recoiled slightly. Lyra stepped closer, placing her hand over his. Their bond shimmered in the air, subtle but undeniable, a wave of light in the shadow. The creature shrieked, soundless, mindless, and retreated just enough to circle wider. Elias realized then, the bond wasn't just emotional, it was a weapon. But it was fragile, vulnerable. "If we falter," Lyra whispered, "it can tear us apart from within." He nodded grimly. "Then we don't falter." A moment of silence fell, heavy and charged, before the shadow lunged. This time, Elias didn't fight alone. Lyra's aura flared, silver light cutting through the darkness. Together they pushed back, not with weapons alone, but with the force of their bond. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought of trust and courage became a shield. The shadow shrieked, twisted, and evaporated into the walls, leaving a ripple behind. But Elias didn't let go of Lyra's hand. "You're remarkable," he whispered, voice low and raw. "So are you," she replied, "and we're just beginning to understand what this bond can do." He swallowed, heart pounding. "Lyra, I..." But she leaned closer, pressing her forehead to his, silver light spilling between them. "You don't have to say it," she murmured, "just feel it." And for the first time, Elias allowed himself to do exactly that. Feel it. The bond. The warmth. The trust. The fear. The courage. And maybe something more. A faint hum echoed again, different this time. Softer, deliberate, like a heartbeat in tune with theirs. The rift core was reacting to them. And deep down, Elias knew this was only the beginning. The creature would return, the High Matriarch would watch, the bond would be tested again. But for now, they were together. And that was enough. The room was silent, almost unbearably so. The rift core's soft hum filled the space, pulsing gently under the floor, through the walls, and between Elias and Lyra. They sat on the bed, hands entwined, breaths gradually slowing, but neither dared relax completely. Elias finally broke the silence. "You think it's done?" he asked, voice low. Lyra shook her head. Her silver eyes glimmered in the dim light. "No, it's learning, watching, waiting for the moment we falter, but it's afraid of us now." Elias studied her. For weeks, they'd fought shadows, faced secrets, and exposed themselves to truths they hadn't shared with anyone else. And through it all, Lyra had stayed steadfast, unbroken, even when fear tried to claim her. "I don't think I've ever seen anyone fight like you," he said, voice tight. She smiled faintly. "Neither have I." He laughed softly, shaking his head. "Then maybe we're extraordinary together." She tilted her head, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "We're bonded," she said simply. "Not just by duty, by choice, by everything we've shared tonight. The creature senses that, whether it likes it or not." Elias swallowed hard. The words made his chest ache in a way he hadn't felt in years. By everything we've shared, he echoed, almost reverently. For a heartbeat, neither moved, and then the floor beneath them shivered. A ripple ran through the walls. The rift core, Lyra whispered. It's reacting to us again, stronger this time. Elias felt it too, a wave of warmth and energy that seemed to flow through the room. The creature's presence wasn't here physically, but its influence pulsed faintly in the light. And yet, for the first time, they weren't afraid. Together, he said, gripping her hand. Together, she echoed. They rose to their feet, facing the center of the room. Elias' pulse blade hummed, Lyra's aura shimmered. And as one, they reached toward the rift core, letting their combined courage, trust, and bond flow into it. The room shuddered violently. Light and shadow twisted together, dancing across the walls. The hum of the core rose, growing louder, faster, until it became a steady, heartbeat-like rhythm. The creature appeared not aggressive, not threatening, but observing, almost curious. Elias felt its probing presence, trying to reach into his mind again. But this time he was ready. He let Lyra's courage flow into him. He let their bond strengthen, radiate outward. Feel this, he whispered into her mind. She understood instantly. Together, they sent a wave of trust, truth, and unwavering courage toward the creature. The shadow twisted, shrieked silently, and then dissolved. The walls shimmered. The rift core hummed in harmony, glowing softly with silver light. For the first time, silence wasn't frightening. It was calm, safe. Elias exhaled, lowering his blade. It's gone. Lyra's hand found his, holding it firmly. For now, she said, but we know more now. We know what the bond can do. He met her gaze, and what about us? Her silver eyes softened, glinting with emotion. Elias, I don't want to hide it anymore, not from the universe, not from you. He stepped closer. I don't want to hide it either. The distance between them vanished. Forehead to forehead, breaths mingling, hearts beating in rhythm. The warmth of their bond filled the room, stronger than the rift core, stronger than fear, stronger than anything the shadows could throw at them. He began, voice trembling. I know, she whispered, placing a gentle hand on his cheek. We've said more tonight than words ever could. Elias leaned in, closing the final space between them, lips brushed. Then slowly he pressed forward, not just a kiss but a promise. A bond sealed in courage, in truth, in shared fear and hope. Lyra responded, silver aura mingling with his warmth, her hand gripping his shoulder. The world around them, the shadows, the walls, the unseen threats, faded. Only them. Only this connection that nothing could sever. When they finally broke apart, Elias smiled, shaky but real. We're stronger together, he said. Lyra nodded, silver eyes bright. And nothing can take that away. The chamber was quiet now, safe. But beyond the walls, the universe was vast, full of danger, intrigue, and watchers who would notice the bond they had forged. Elias didn't care. He had Lyra, and she had him. Together, they could face anything. The rift core pulsed softly in the corner, as if acknowledging the strength of their bond. And somewhere deep in the shadows, a faint echo of curiosity lingered. Not hunger, not malice, but the knowledge that this human and this princess had changed everything. And that knowledge was dangerous. But for now, Elias and Lyra simply held each other, hearts beating in sync, knowing that in a universe that wanted to tear them apart, they had already found something no one could destroy.